This is Jackie, and I'm here with Cody of Set It Off. We are outside Baltimore Soundstage.
Yeah.
Sold out tonight.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So
no,
excited.
no pressure, right?
No, not at all. No, just everything's fine.
Fuck
I
shit.
start to sob
Goddamn.
uncontrollably.
Oh no, it'll be fine. I promise.
No, I'm pumped up.
So big week, big tour. Yesterday was International Women's Day.
Yes.
What either female-fronted or female membered bands do you think need to get more notoriety out there, and people need to give them a listen?
Oh God, I've been hearing a lot about Stand Atlantic, female-fronted band. They're fantastic. I love what they've been doing lately. Trying to think. I always got love for Jenna, but I know that Tonight Alive is they're not playing as many shows now. Obviously, we miss them like crazy. I think if Tay Jardine is still doing Saint, I think she deserves a lot of recognition. There's so many people that we've come across in our lifetime, so many women we've come across in our lifetime that have just been fun to watch for me, for me to like take notes on how they handle the crowd, and their charisma has always been incredible. So I think those are three people that I mean, obviously Haley Williams is always killing it, but
Oh, you know her.
oh yeah, maybe you've heard of her before. Yeah.
We've also heard about your new album, Midnight, recently released. How has that an evolution since Cinematics?
Oh God, it's been a crazy ride. So Cinematics is very orchestral based. Like every song had like a full orchestra in it. Like not a real one. We didn't have the money then, but we would construct like a ton of stuff. But it was also very dark, very aggressive. I think there's a song we were looking at the tempos. There was a song that was legitimately 190 beats per minute. Like we were just fast, and then the average tempo was 170. We were just like it was who we were then. Like we were like 20 or 19 and just full of energy, and we're just like let's go. And then after that we went to Duality, and Duality was our way of. We found a producer that we wrote Why Worry with, and we found a way to really kind of take this pop side out of us that we've always wanted to get out. Like I grew up listening to like boy bands and like Destiny's Child, Usher, R&B, but also new metal and all these different styles. But I never knew how to incorporate that. Our producer Brandon helped us figure that out. Duality was the first time experimenting with that sort of sound. Upside Down, I was in like a really happy place in my life, so all the songs are very happy, major keyed, uplifted, like very pop. And then with this one, it's like we took those three journeys that we all went through and found a way to merge them all together. So there's like there's the energy, but there's the structure, and it's organic, but it's also we have like the bells and whistles of production there. So we felt balanced, really balanced on this album. So yeah.
So how does Dancing with the Devil represent the overall sound of the album?
Ooh. I'd say if I were to use that to represent the album, I'd say the elements of that stick out to me is the attitude, the content, as far as lyrical content goes. Like, it's about being betrayed by someone that you worked with or trusted or loved, and all the time you put in and just feeling like you were just dropped at the like the what's the thing? I'm losing the phrase. At the drop of a hat, but you know what I mean. Yeah. But it's about abandonment and dealing with that, and a lot of the album is about coping in general. Like there's some songs where it's about like I'm finally over this person. I finally have realized to get away from this toxic relationship. And there's songs about being feeling abandoned. There's songs about realizing that it's okay to not feel happy all the time. Like there's a song for everything there. But I think Dancing with the Devil is a good sample of what you can expect.
And how did you come to work with Matt Appleton of Real Big Fish and Skylar Record of Issues?
Yes, I'm so happy you brought up those names. Matt Appleton of Real Big Fish. I'm a ska kid at heart. I started being a fan of ska bands and loved Real Big Fish. Saw them at Warped Tour. Met Matt Appleton through, I think it was either at Warped Tour or just through the writing and producing world in general. He first worked with us on Duality. He wrote the horn line for Wolf in Sheep's Clothing, and going back to like what we were talking about before in Cinematics, I was kind of a control freak about the horns being written. Like I had to do the horns and the strings and that. And I remember I showed up to his house, which was like in the woods. It was a really cool place. And he was like, "Yeah, I wrote a horn part for Wolf." And my brain was like, "Uh oh." And I was like, "It's not. I didn't write it. What's it gonna be like?" And I showed up, and it was a wow 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 ba ba because I wasn't there at first. And I was like, "This is amazing! Like you're a beast." And you look around his room, and there's brass instruments, woodwind instruments, and he plays all of them. And he's a phenomenal sax player. Obviously, for those who don't know, he plays tenor sax in Real Big Fish. But when the sax, we were writing the song, Dan and I, for "I Want You Gone," and we were writing in a hotel room. And we got to the bridge, and we're like, "All right, do we want it to be like?" Because you kind of have to ask yourself some questions when you're writing. Like, "All right, well, the bridge can just keep trucking along, and we can add a whole nother melody to it. It can be a drop bridge where then it builds back up to the chorus." or we can have like a guitar solo or something like that. But in this song, when we got there, we none of those questions were a yes to us. We were like, oh my god, we can finally do a sax solo. Like we've wanted to do a sax solo for a while, but we never had the right opportunity for it. We can't just force one into a song because then it'll sound like crap. But we finally realized that was the opportunity, and Matt was the first person we thought of. I reached out to him. He said yes. I gave him references from a song called "The Real Deal" by Tower of Power. There's two tenor sax solos in that song, which are probably my favorite of all time, and he nailed it. Obviously nailed it. So it was cool to get to do that with him. Skylar, we've met through obviously playing shows and stuff, but we were talking at Tyler's. I think it was our friend Clayton's birthday at Tyler Carter's house in Georgia. And we were at the pool, and I was talking to him about like musical influences and how I love his chord progressions. Sorry, I'm like trying not to clear my throat aggressively, but all these different chord progressions that he was like really into, and like we like obscure sounding stuff that's still like musically intelligent but controlled, not to where you're like not where you sound like a dick and you're showing off, but
That's probably a good thing.
yeah, exactly. But like I just like his approach. He's very musically intelligent. So we're like we should write together sometime, which that usually never comes together. He was out in L.A. Hit him up. And I was like, hey, we're out here writing. Do you want to come through? And he goes, yeah. Picked a date, came in, and we wrote Happy All the Time in a day. And he played bass on it. And not usually when someone's playing an instrument, they don't get a feature. But we're like, no. Like, first of all, he took time out of his day to come here and made this song what it is with us and nailed those bass parts. So we're like, you are going to get the credit. And I wanted his name on there. So, just a good friend overall, too.
And Real Big Fish, Issues, and Set It Off have been to many a Warped Tour. I think that was the last time that we interviewed. For some reason, I'm thinking New York in a bathroom, but I could be wrong.
It's possible.
We'll check. We'll check the files.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure
Check
that's
the
exactly
archives.
what happened.
Next to a garbage can, I would believe it.
Warped Tour is a very particular thing.
Oh, yeah.
How have your Warped Tour experiences impacted your career?
Oh man, I think a lot of it kind of ties into just touring in general. Like first of all, like the impact that it had was like it kind of showed us, that that the hard work does pay off. Like you have to get up and you have to sell and you have to make sure you're around everybody all the time as much as you can. But you have to take full advantage of that opportunity. As if you don't, then what are you doing? Why are you there? Don't just play shows and go to bed. Like it was a very there's so many people that come to shows and be like, I first saw you at Warped Tour. Or just people from yesterday. We were playing Boston, and Mansfield, Massachusetts was the Warped Tour date, and there was at least in just our VIP 3 to 5 kids that were like, first time I saw you was in Mansfield at Warped Tour last year. I'm like, of course, that's amazing because like a lot of people go there to see tons of bands, and then I look at that show and every show now as an opportunity of this could be your first impression, or it could be that you've seen us for the millionth time. So we always try to go in and give it 1,000%, no matter if it's like 10,000 kids or if it's 200 kids or if it's 10 kids. Like we will make sure that's something that you learn from tours. You can never let back because then also you're not in love with it. Obviously, you're spoiled, and that's not what you can be. You have to genuinely be in love with what you do. I'm kind of rambling right now, but yeah.
That's what we're here for. So with new music coming out, what role does music streaming have with new music? Do you pay attention to those numbers more than you do album releases, or are they both kind of equally important in this era?
I'd say it would be more equally important if you were asking me about 3 or 4 years ago, and now, no. In just that amount of time, it's like we obviously we want to chart, and charting is massive to us, and that'll be very important all the time. But it's not just about physical sales. Streaming now counts towards that. I'm trying to remember the amount of streams that equals an album sale. I want to say 16 to 1,800 streams equals an album sale. That's one album sale. Yeah.
That's really shitty math.
It is. It doesn't seem like it adds up that well, but it's, as far as I'm concerned, I can cry over the spilt milk or just roll the punches and take care of it and find a way around it. And the best way we can do is promote the streaming. And luckily, Spotify has really taken a liking to us on this record and this album cycle. Every single got a lot of playlisting, which is huge. It's how a lot of people can find your songs. New listeners can find your songs, end up coming out to shows. And it's been reflecting to that. Last time I checked, which is about like 2 weeks ago, our album is over 11 million streams, and which is fantastic. We're really proud of that number and to know that it's still growing. And you have to be good at streaming. Well, not you have to be doing well in streaming. It's imperative. People look at that now. It's like back when people used to look at like your MySpace friends. You know what I mean? Like, well, how many friends have they got? Or now it's streaming. You can see hard numbers there, and it's easy to find those analytics.
Spotify's definitely in your top 8 then.
Oh yeah, I would put it in my top 8 for sure.
God, I feel old just saying that. I'm really, really sorry. Just came out of my mouth. I'm going to regret that later.
Oh, I love it.
So 2019 has been kind of rough so far. 2018 was not really awesome either. What do you? I feel like a lot of young people turn to music when times get rough. What music do you turn to if you're having a rough day?
It depends on the kind of mood. If it's sadness, Mayday Parade's Lesson in Romantics. That album like got me through a lot of like bad breakups, or just being sad in general. That's an album that you can turn to and you will feel. But that also like holds a nostalgic place in my heart. So I really appreciate that album. If it's anger, a lot of times it's a day to remember. I will probably turn to specifically Second Sucks, which is amazing, and UB Sonic, I'll Be Tails. Just anything that's just like aggressive, I really like. And if it's just overall, I will turn to the what was the final live recording of the live show of Five Iron Frenzy. It was a ska band. It's an emotional recording. Anything that just makes me feel would be that. A lot of times I use positive distractions and outside of music, I'll go to like video games, which I really find that as a good coping tool. But yeah.
Anything other than like embracing the suck, like just try to do something else.
Well, like sometimes you need to. I do notice I push it away sometimes, and then maybe that's why I can get as emotional in the songs that we write as I do. Is I bottle it up and then I let it out in the song when we're writing it, and instead of dealing with it right then and there. And then maybe that's not the greatest habit to have psychologically, but I have a coping mechanism by writing. So.
And is it cathartic then when you perform it?
Oh, every time, every single time. I've played on Open Windows so far. I don't even know how many shows that is. About 19 shows, and we played Philadelphia. And Unopened Windows is about my father who passed due to cancer. He's from Abington, the Philadelphia area. And after it was done, I was crying so hard that I couldn't sing the first verse of the next song. Like, it's still cathartic for me every time. And the biggest thing is not just how I'm feeling during the song, but how the crowd is feeling. And you can see it on their faces. Like, no one's holding back. And especially I feel like at our shows, there's this undeniable ability for the crowd to just let it all out. And I think that's my favorite part about the show, because we feed off of that, and I feed off of that hard. I'm very... I wear my emotions on my sleeve. You're never gonna have to guess with me. If I'm upset, you'll see it. If I'm happy, you'll see it, and it shows in the show as well. It's nice to be able to get it all out. Touring is huge for that. Yeah.
Speaking of which, what's up next for the rest of 2019?
So I can't get into too many specifics, but what's known right now is we're about to go overseas to the UK and Europe, which is one show away from being a completely sold out tour for us, which would be a first, which is awesome. It's cool to see what this album's been doing, and that tickets are selling better than they ever have. Like, sold out Baltimore today. Like, we're elated. We're really happy. So that tour is coming up, and then we're planning another tour here, and we're planning another tour already back over at UK Europe, as well as some extra international stuff that we're just grinding away on. So a lot of touring. And obviously we'd like to release like another single, maybe another video or something like that. But those are always the goals. That just has to all pan out. Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for much more from Set It Off. This is Jackie. Thanks to Substream Magazine and In the Key of Change.